What a game last night. Miami evens the series, Perloff, at 1 game apiece. We'll talk about the momentum shifting and Miami wrestling the momentum back from Denver. But
wait, the same Miami team you said was dead and toast the other day?
I'm still Miami in 5.
Oh, you mean Denver in 5?
Excuse me, Denver in 5. Yes, I'm still Denver in 5.
Now you're still Denver in 5.
I'm still Denver in 5.
I like it.
And I'll tell you why. I'm not going to bury it for you. Here's why. That was the wake-up call that Denver needed.
Okay.
They got out-hustled in that game. Yeah. They got outsmarted in the game. The Miami's role players hit every shot. Denver's role players were not as big of a factor in making some dumb decisions, stupid fouls, things like that. This was the wake-up call where Denver just saw, hey, we're the 1 seed. We're the best team in the NBA. And there's a possibility here that we get punked by, yes, a very good 8th seed, but by the Miami Heat. That can't happen. You can't have the 2-time MVP, who's now the greatest player who's ever lived. You've noticed that's happened, right, with Jokic.
Yeah.
He went from the anonymous superstar to now the greatest NBA player in the history of mankind.
All you need is one more game where Miami shoots close to 50% from 3, which sounds outlandish, but they've been doing that all postseason. You know Miami's going to get hot at least one more time. So I think they make it a longer. I'm not bold enough to pick the Heat to win this thing, but you have to at least admit, Maggie, it crossed your mind last night that, hey, wait a second. I've been not counting this Miami team in all postseason. Just maybe they could do this. Are you saying, or didn't even cross your mind?
Well, I was big on Miami against Boston, but so was everybody when they went up 3-0. But here's the thing. I think that Miami met the moment. And I don't know if Denver has yet been forced to meet the moment, and now they have to. They have, so far this entire postseason, they have not played a road game tied. Like, they have not experienced this any kind of adversity, if you will. And Miami's been living with adversity. I mean, every part of Miami's journey through these playoffs has been improbable, counted out, I guess, except for the Knicks series. You know, people betting against them, having to, be resilient, these backs against the wall things, and Denver hasn't had to do any of that yet.
Well, yeah, but you could also argue that Joker and Jamal Murray are both shooting really well. What if one of them doesn't happen a lot. What if one of them got cold just one game? That kills your gentleman's sweep. Just one of them. I mean, Joker just throws the ball in the general direction of the backboard, and it hits something and goes in. I understand what you're saying. I do like Denver as well, but man, Miami has just got this magical element. We keep counting them out, and they keep defying all expectations. They're short, they're inconsistent. They're not really deep at all, but somehow somebody steps up all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why all of a sudden Heat culture takes on this mythic kind of thing, because it's hard to explain it. But then it kind of is. But then you kind of can explain it, though. You can explain it by Spoelstra making good adjustments.
Well, by the way, on that, I'm the one. I said put in Kevin Love in Game 1. Why was that a good adjustment? Why was it Kevin Love in Game 1? Why did you have Gabe Vincent covering Aaron Gordon? So that wasn't some genius coaching move. That was common sense.
Well, how about this? Kevin Love, I thought it was really like a back issue because he also didn't play Game 6 or Game 7 against Boston.
Right.
So he hadn't played in 3 games. He goes into the starting lineup, plays 22 minutes, and is the team's leading rebounder. Yeah,
that was a huge adjustment, but I feel like Spoelstra shouldn't get credit for that because you had about 4 guards on the court against a gigantic Denver team. Anyway, so you're right. Spoelstra makes adjustments. All that stuff could happen again, Maggie. You know what? I think you need to start believing in the Heat a little more.
I mean, listen, I love the Heat for making this interesting. They are very easy to root for. I find during the game, like when they got down by 15 points in the second quarter, and it was like 50-35, you're like, oh man, like don't do this. If there's one team I think can come back and actually make it a game, it is Miami. They're never rolling over. I mean, nobody would in the finals, but I think they intimidate people. I do, because they are a smart team. I do think they intimidate people.
They're not intimidating the Nuggets. You think they are?
I think there's an intimidating factor about Miami because there's like a desperation that they play with. Maybe it's with all the guys who are undrafted, or it's like some kind of different thing they have, or the way Jimmy Butler is, or sets the tone, or comes from Pat Riley. Who knows? But there's like some kind of desperation. You know they're going to be smart, and the only way you beat them is if you just miss shots. With Denver last night, they're fouling 3-point shooters left and right. I mean, there's just all these things that Miami just doesn't seem to
Yeah, I think that Denver looked at it and said, well, we're a way better team. They just got hot from three. That was the only – and that's, by the way, today's NBA. I mean, some team, it's hard to sweep anyone because everyone gets hot from three. So, yeah, I kind of don't think Denver is scared. I think they think we're a way better team. You saw at the end of the game last night, they finally woke up and said, whoa, we're about to lose this game.
They did.
Let's drop a bunch of points on them at the end and make it interesting. So I think it's just a matter of Miami's shooting. Are they going to be able to have this incredible hot clip? I mean, Gabe Vincent, he looked like Steph Curry last night.
I know.
He took over the Caleb Martin thing, and now there's a new Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent. It doesn't make any sense.
How about Duncan Robinson?
Duncan Robinson.
10 straight points. How about Bam?
How about Duncan Robinson scoring points in the paint? Have you ever seen Duncan Robinson in his entire life hit a layup?
And it was fun points in the paint. It's like the guy's
guys on him,
moving, and he's like getting to the rim. He's mean mugging. He's flexing. Want to listen to Jimmy Butler?
Love listening to Jimmy Butler.
All right, let's listen to a little Jimmy about the difference really between the Heat and everyone else.
I just think nobody cares on our team. We're not worried about what anybody thinks. We're so focused in on what we do well and who we are as a group that at the end of the day, that's what we fall back on, and that's not going to change. So that's what I think it is. I think it's the I don't give a damn factor.
You know what's funny? I think I was like, oh, Jimmy, he's just, everybody says that about the Heat or this or that. You and I talked to George Carl on Friday when we were filling in for Jim Rome. And thanks again to everyone from Jim Rome. That was a lot of fun. But George Carl joined us, the former, head coach of the Nuggets and the Hall of Famer. And he said he thought that, there was a moment where Miami looked a little shell-shocked, right? Like, oh, my gosh, this is the finals. Like the role players when Max Strus goes 0 for 10.
Oh, yeah.
And he's talking about, geez, and now all of a sudden you're like, playing in the finals where Michael Jordan played and, Magic Johnson and like all these people you might have idolized or whatever. And now it's on you and you like get a little tight. Maybe that is what happened to Miami in game one.
Yep.
And then game two, they are much more comfortable where Strus looked amazing and hit shots early to get the tone going. And Duncan Robinson and Gabe Vincent.
They jumped out early to have this huge lead. Then the Nuggets pulled it close at the end of the first quarter. Then the Nuggets took off in the second quarter and had a 15-point lead. You mentioned it earlier in the segment. I do not understand how Miami won the game after that. It still doesn't, logically, I can't put it together. That run in the fourth quarter was so unexpected to me because Denver usually has that altitude advantage in the fourth quarter. And Miami, all of a sudden, Butler woke up.
Yep.
Adebayo did not miss a free throw. They did everything right. You're right. They don't seem to make the mistakes that other teams make. I don't think the Nuggets made that many mistakes last night. Porter played terrible, and KCP didn't show up.
Well, and KCP fouling three-point shooters. I mean, and
that's true.
There was even a moment with Joker who, again, God's gift to basketball. Never seen anyone as good as Nikola Jokic. All of a sudden, he's better than Jordan. He's the best player. Have you guys noticed that the pendulum has swung really the other way on? Nikola Jokic, never heard of him. Now Nikola Jokic, how did basketball exist without him? But anyway, there was a moment where he picked up, I believe, his second foul, and he thought it was BS, and they were chirping at the refs all night, and there were a couple of bad calls, but they're chirping at the refs. He picks up the second foul, and 30 seconds later picked up the third because he just swatted Adebayo across the head. And they're like, that's a frustration foul from Jokic. Like, even he was kind of losing his cool a little bit out there.
It was the free path foul where he wrapped his arm around Bam and they looked at it. I still don't understand those calls at all.
Neither does Van Gundy or
But Van Gundy's going back and forth on whether it's a flagrant or not has now become the high comedy. He's like, well, I think it's all flagrant. What, by the way, flagrant fouls. There was one where Aaron Gordon just ran through a pick and they reviewed it to see if it was flagrant. The NBA is so soft right now, but that's regardless. So I think that Joker is God's gift to basketball. I think you are underestimating him by even questioning this.
I'm afraid lightning is going to strike me down dead in the studio. I'm not questioning it. I'm just saying the pendulum has swung pretty hard on Joker here.
Yes, because it's the first time most of us have watched this many Joker games in a row. Yeah. I saw the ratings have been not as bad as I thought. So I think the world is – I do think the world is meeting Joker for the first time because no one saw him in the bubble. And because Jamal Murray's been hurt, they haven't really done much in the playoffs. So this is really to see him do it at this level consistently. Come on, it's impressive, Maggie. And I feel like you would be a little sarcastic there.
I'm being 100% sarcastic, but I'm impressed so much that I still have the Nuggets in 5.